Hello and welcome to this overnight taste challenge. Not going to be daylight for a little while longer here at pretend daylight savings, where it's pitch dark at 6 a.m. Ridiculous. But anyway, that's another rant. For another time, maybe never. This is McAdams premium quality blended Canadian whiskey, aged 36 months, mellowed and aged oak. That means they're aging it in used barrels, which is common for Canada, usually ex-bourbon barrels. Product of Canada, bottled and blended. Oh, I'm sorry, distilled and blended. That didn't make any sense. Distilled and blended under the supervision of the Canadian government. That's an unremarkable statement because all Canadian whiskey is distilled and blended under the supervision of the Canadian government, just like in the United States. So they're putting facts that have no real remarkability or exceptionality. Here is the label on the neck. Showing the, if it'll focus, showing the crown for King Charles, that well at the time Queen Elizabeth II, King Charles III, King of Canada, Northern Ireland, the Falkland Islands, the Bahamas, the British Indian Ocean Territory, and other places around the world. They're getting ready to give up that territory, but they're going to keep the Navy base there, which is the whole reason they have the territory, U.S. British Naval Base. But they have no permanent citizens anymore there, so they're just going to give it to this island nation that used to be a British colony. All right, man, this thing won't focus. It's aged 3 years, which is the minimum. Here's the competitor, a Tennessee Crown Club, which is not made in Tennessee, but my impression that it is produced to be sold in Tennessee. Just like I've seen Texas Crown Club, same exact bottle design from Select Club. Now, Select Club, if you look at their website, they only discuss their flavored whiskeys. That's what their big thing is, flavored whiskeys. But they do make, obviously, unflavored Canadian whiskeys, like Tennessee Crown Club and Texas Crown Club, aged 7 years in ex-bourbon barrels and finished in sherry casks, ex-sherry casks. Interesting. It does give it an interesting little twist on the flavor, I find. My friend David didn't really see that, but I said, to me, it was noticeable, but everybody's got to call it as they see it, you know. Finally, it focuses. Of course, most of these will have a maple leaf on them. Why did they call it McAdams? Probably because it was a last name that sounded Canadian. You know what I mean? Like, sounded like some name a person in Canada would have. Probably has nothing to do with anybody who started the liquor. But I could be wrong, but they don't give you any information such as that on the website. I'm going to double check the size here. Prestige Beverage Group is who, in Princeton, Minnesota, this is who owns the brand, and it's where it's bottled. Oh, 1 liter. I thought it looked bigger. There's something about this bottle made it look bigger, and it is bigger. It's a liter, and they had it at Total Wine and More for $7.99. Hey, I didn't ask questions. I was like, I'm not looking for this product, but for $7.99, I'm going to try it out. Can't hurt, and it hasn't hurt. It's pretty good. And the next time I went back to Total Wine and More, they didn't have it. But Total Wine has a lot of turnover. Like, you'll see a product, and you'll say, I'll get it next time. Well, next time you go, it's not there. And they got something new on the shelf. So I do find that they'll rotate a lot of stuff in and out. I mean, obviously, some stuff they're going to always have it. They're going to always have Paul Masson brandy. They're going to always have Jack Daniels whiskey. They're going to have Budweiser beer. That kind of stuff's not going to change. They're going to have, Robert Mondavi wine. But all these like rarities and unusual products that'll just keep getting turned over, just to keep the shelves fresh, keep the customers interested. And they might take it off and send it to another store, and the other store sends them stuff that they wanted to trade out. That's possible, but I don't know Total Wine and More's internal operations for sure. I don't know that. I'll show you the website. McAdams. No apostrophe. I got to fix that. Is a smooth whiskey to enjoy on the rocks or mixed in your favorite cocktail. Notice they don't say to enjoy neat. 3-year blended. That's the one I have. I don't have that big plastic bottle. Smooth whiskey notes and mixes well with cola. Aged 3 years in ex-bourbon barrels. Okay. So I was wondering what barrels. Bourbon. They said ex-oak. They said used barrel. Canadian light. There's also a light. Less calories, and it's only 27% alcohol. Not a true whiskey, because it have to be at least 40% alcohol to be a true whiskey, but they're just going to register it as a distilled spirit specialty, which is allowed. A distilled spirit specialty is any product that doesn't fit any other category. That means there's something about it that disqualifies it from the category, so they just slot it as a DSS. So this does not fit Canadian whiskey category, so it's going to be slotted as a DSS. I've seen some light whiskeys around, honestly, or I should say light whiskey products around, but I don't recall seeing that particular brand. I don't know who buys light whiskey. I guess there's people out there that buy it. There's actually a category of whiskey called light whiskey, but it's a much different thing than what I just showed you. Okay, so appearance, they're both amber gold, so the appearance won't matter. They're clear as a bell, so there won't be anything like if I glance at it, I'm going to say, I know what it is. Because some of these want to be really dark copper, and the other want to be just light gold, and so you can't look because you're going to know. You're going to know what it is. McAdams. Let's see here. Yeah, introduced January 21st, 1987. It was saying that the trademark was abandoned at one point. That's weird. That might be how they got. Oh, just this little photo label was abandoned. I get it. The little the logo with like a plaid outfit. But okay, here we go. McAdams. They filed the trademark on June 8th, 1987. The attorney was Paulette R. Carey. And it was first used March 12th, 1987. Okay, and it looks like they've had the same owners ever since they started, which is Prestige Beverage Group. Who is the producer? I'm not aware that Prestige Beverage Group owns any distilleries in Canada. If they did, they would talk about it. They're mainly just a brand holder. They bottle. I think they do some blending, up there in Minnesota, and bottling, and might age stuff, but I don't even think they do that. And then they sell it. Even the flavored beers that they have, I think it's made under contract. They got this stuff called Kinky, which they have around here. It doesn't really move too much. I see some stores sell it. And then there's a strong version, like 8%, but it doesn't seem to have much traction here. Now, if you go to Minnesota, it might be in every store and be a big seller, but around here, they're good. I mean, if you like flavored beer, beer that tastes like fruit punch, or a Kool-Aid Hawaiian punch, Kool-Aid, stuff like that. Some people love that kind of stuff. I don't, ever want to drink it, but some people love Kool-Aid. They do. They have stores full of it. And the store shelves always be full of it. And they like punch and stuff like that. So the beer companies say that's what they want. They like drinking alcohol, so we'll make these flavored beers that taste like pineapple, blue raspberry, strawberry, regular raspberry, banana, coconut, and so forth. And they're even more popular now than they were 20 years ago. So craft beer has been going down in popularity. These things seem to be going up. But now craft beers are going in that direction. You see all these craft beers with a IPA strawberry punch, IPA fruit punch. Not an IPA by any regular definition of the word. They just use that magic initial, the magic initials, IPA, and people running by it. And I love IPAs because it tastes like fruit punch, this Voodoo Ranger IPA. Well, if you find Torpedo from Sierra Nevada, you might find that you don't really like IPAs, but you like the fruit punch flavor. But hey, I don't care if the companies sell those things. It doesn't bug me. It just kind of bothers me that they're using that IPA term as a catch-all. It definitely erodes the definition of the class. It's like some of these stouts that were white or golden, and they didn't really taste like a stout, although they were good. I can't say that like Dragon's Milk White Stout. It had a good flavor, but it didn't taste like a stout. It didn't look like a stout. It looked like some golden ale, which like I say, it had a good flavor. They don't make it anymore. Oh well. But whiskey is a little bit more regulated. It has to have, and if you read the Canadian regulations, there is a qualifying statement at the end. Having the aroma and flavor generally associated with Canadian whiskey. Okay? The aroma and flavor generally associated with Canadian whiskey. So if you made one and it tasted like an Isle of Scotch, that you could probably tag them, and the government might go after them and say, hold on, but I mean, I don't know what companies would ever do that, but same thing with bourbon. If you read the regulations, no, not bourbon, just whiskey. And then there's subcategories, subtypes bourbon, but it'll say whiskey has the aroma and flavor generally associated with whiskey, the U.S. government, or rum, aroma and flavor generally associated with rum. That's to kind of keep them in line, but there's no U.S. law about India Pale Ale has to have the aroma and flavor generally associated with India Pale Ale. There is no regulation on that. It's whatever you want it to be. And there's no flavor regulation on beer. In fact, if you look, there's regulations on beer, but not on the flavor. So beer can be made with sugarcane, not barley. You can use a substitute for barley, sugarcane. And that's where all those seltzers come from. Those like, what to call that thing? White Claw. It's still beer. It says it on the can. It says flavored beer. But it's beer made with sugarcane. And there's other products you can use too. The government has a whole list. And I think the list says including, it didn't say exclusive to it, like including sugarcane, carrots, or something like that. But now a malt beverage must contain barley malt and hops. So that's, Budweiser is a malt beverage. It contains malted barley and hops and other grains, in that case rice. That's allowed too. But that's a filler, not a substitute. Okay, so this smells like regular old cereal grain. Is it a bad aroma? No, it's just the typical aroma that you would generally associate with Canadian whiskey. Let's follow that protocol. Okay. So $7.99 for a liter. Hey, I was on that. This one runs about $25 if you find it, and chances are you won't. Now you might see Select Club, like I said, it's pretty common, but it'll be like salted caramel, green apple, and all these flavors. But they run about $25 as well. But this bottle was at a store on the West Bank in Jefferson Parish. I'm talking about the West Bank of the Mississippi River because Jefferson Parish is cut in half, just like Orleans Parish cut through by the Mississippi River. So it's on both sides of the river. Whereas St. Louis and Memphis are on either side. They're not on both sides. I know you say, well, what about East St. Louis? That's a separate city with its own mayor, and it's in a separate state, just like West Arkansas has its own mayor. It's in a separate state. Now, Minneapolis is cut through, and it is on both sides, in fact. So I guess they might use those terms too, West Bank and East Bank. Okay. But they had that at that store for $7.99. Now I said, now that's a special price. I just knew it wasn't regularly $7.99. So I bought it. Didn't know what to think about it. Didn't even examine the label. I didn't even, except I noticed it was 40%, but I didn't, study it. I just bought it. And then when I started looking at it to do the review, I was like, wow, it's aged 7 years. And then on the back side, it tells you 85% corn, 15% rye, and it's aged 7 years in ex-bourbon barrels, and it's finished in ex-sherry cask. And I was saying to myself, okay, aged 3 years in ex-bourbon barrels for McAdams and ex-bourbon. Who's bourbon barrels? Well, you're never going to find that out. I was thinking, why can't all whiskey companies put this kind of good information on the bottle, right? It's not that hard. You just put it on the bottle. What is in it? What's in Crown Royal? I know they say on the website 50 different whiskeys. That's fine. But what is it? Is it corn, rye, wheat, malted barley, a combination of them? What percentage? Maybe they don't want to tell you. Well, obviously they don't want to tell you because they don't tell you. Beer companies are pretty good about it. Like Anheuser-Busch, they'll detail every beer they sell. And it'll tell you this contains these ingredients. And that's very helpful if you're trying to find out. Miller, Coors, Molson, same thing. Tell you exactly what's in it. Whether you like those ingredients or not, it's up to you. But at least you know what it is. And some of those Anheuser-Busch ones will even say high fructose corn syrup. And some people got an issue with that, so they won't drink it. I got an issue with it, not health-wise. Like, I don't think it's like poison or anything. I just don't like the flavor of it. It's too strong and nasty to me. Like if you drink Coca-Cola with high fructose corn syrup, to me it tastes dry. Like it makes you thirsty. And you never can get like your thirst quenched. Maybe that's why they put it. Make you keep drinking more of it. Like peanuts at a bar. Of course, salted peanuts. Same. Cereal grain. So aroma, same. Appearance, the same. Amber. Price, well, in my case, the same. $7.99, $7.99. But difference. That was a liter. That is a liter, and that is 750 milliliter. A handle. People used to call them a fifth of a gallon. So the McAdams was a better value no matter how you spend it, especially if you look at the regular price. And that was not a sales price. It didn't say this month only. It just said $7.99. That was 5 years ago now. This was clearly a special price because, like I said, it runs really about 25. They're rare here. I've never seen either one of these in my town. No way. But I said I have seen Select Club flavors, various flavors here. Mathern's has a few of them. I'm not paying $25 to find out if they're good, but some people probably will. But here we go. Taste. So far into this, McAdams has the clear advantage because it's cheaper per ounce and the aroma and the appearance are identical. taste is where it's going to matter, though. Grain, like I'm telling you, it's like breakfast cereal without the sugar. Well, kind of with the sugar. These Canadian whiskeys be kind of sugary, but not as sugary as bourbon, though. I find bourbon tastes like sugar water. It's wild. But fermented and then distilled grain. It's just grain cereal. Makes sense because it's made from grain. Is there a little fruity note? There is sometimes with these a little fruity note. No, I mean, especially if it's using sherry barrels, that's going to pick up sherry's made from a fruit, grapes. So yeah. I had to put my finger on the tab. I got a label below, and if I glanced at it, I would know what it is, even though I'm looking at it in, that big. All right. Initial flavor. Ain't much difference. Really, not much difference. Now, you say, no, but one is 7 years, one is 3 years. Yeah, no. A lot of times I get a long-aged whiskey, 12-year age, and put it up against a 3-year, and it's like nothing. It's like something I'm missing. Like, you say you're not a great taster because an expert would pick that up. Probably so, but I don't see it. I just don't. I'm not going to I'm not going to get on here and sit in this chair and act like I'm really smart. I know all this stuff. I'm not going to do that. If I don't know and if I can't pick it up and discern it, I'm not going to pretend like I'm doing that. Like Benjamin Franklin said, honesty is the best policy. It's got a little bite to it, though. It's a little bitey. Like you could perceive it like it's bitterness at the back end of the sip, like it bites back. So not as smooth as you might hope. Maybe that's why the website says good for mixing with cola or drinking it on the rocks. That's what they emphasize. Yes, I think that's why. Do a lot of people buy this to drink neat at room temperature? I seriously doubt it. Well, first of all, I don't think a lot of people buy it, period. Yeah, I'm getting a little more development here. It's smoother, probably because of the aging. And I think I'm picking up a sherry cask. My friend David said ethanol. Ethanol tastes like ethanol, corn spirits. Well, that makes sense. It's 85% corn. And they use that in the gasoline. All right. Yeah, I guess this one's a little bit better. But on the other hand, is it worth paying $15 more? I don't know on that. $15, even in today's economy. I don't know if I'd be really hot to pay $15 extra to get a little tweak of superior flavor. I mean, if you're going to mix it with cola, why are you paying $1 extra is my question. You're going to submerge that flavor in all the cola. I'm not an anti-Cola-ite. I'm not against drinking Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola or RC-Cola or any of the others, although I think getting the real sugar is a much better option. I know where to get Pepsi-Cola made with real sugar. I can always get that. Can't always get I know where to get the pure sugar Coca-Cola. What am I saying? It's too expensive. It's too expensive, so I don't buy it. When I see the price so outrageous, I say, I'm not buying that. Gotta wait for that. I'm waiting for them to have a sale, if they ever do. I can get this big 2-liter glass Coca-Cola from like Honduras, made with real sugar. I can get that at international market. It's like $4. This huge glass. It's wild. And then they have Pepsi also from like Nicaragua or something. And then they have all these strange Latin American soda pops that I never even heard of them, you know. But I'm sure they're good, you know. I just never bought them. I bought a few. An international market is not some little bodega. It's a huge store. It's a regular grocery store. I mean, it's a grocery store. People go there shopping. That's where they shop. They sell milk. They sell juice. They sell cheese, bread. Well, anything you see at a grocery store. Well, you know what? I don't. They might sell medicine and stuff like that. They sell fresh vegetables and rice and everything, you know. But they also sell like pots and pans and utensils. But then so do other grocery stores. So yeah, it's a fascinating store. The Whiskey Scout came. He does a channel. He came to visit me one time over 4 years ago, and he was fascinated by it. He couldn't believe it, you know. And that's before they redid the store, though. But he said, "Man, if I lived around here, I'd go broke." He didn't mean he'd go broke because they're expensive. He'd go broke because they would have so many things at that store and the other places we went to that he'd spend all his money on all these great values. I said, it is amazing. So if you're ever in Louisiana, around New Orleans, go to International Market. I think you really like it. I wouldn't exactly call it a tourist attraction, but it would attract me. And if I went to another city like Memphis or New York City or Chicago, and I knew about one of those kind of markets, I would go there. There's one in Flushing. There was last time I went. Oh, we're talking about 10 years ago, or something like that. There was one in Flushing, New York. Right down, you could walk to the Met Stadium from there. You could. I did. I walked to the stadium, went to the game, and walked back, and then walked to the park next to the botanical garden and got in my car and left. Wasn't that far of a walk, honestly. And I was carrying all this beer when I went back to my car because I looked in that store before the game and I was like, oh man, this store is wild. And look at all this Asian beer that we don't see around here in Louisiana. So on the way after that game, I said, I'm going and I'm stopping in that store. It was an afternoon game, you know. So I went, I bought that beer and I put it in my trunk. And so I was like, man, y'all got to go to this place. I think it's called like Asiatic Market or something. But I said, y'all got to go there. The place is off the wall. It is just amazing. And then the Chinese restaurants there are amazing because they're really not American oriented Chinese restaurants. They're Asian oriented. Like only people you see in there is Chinese eating, or, you know. And I went in there and the lady's like, oh, you know, what do you want? Like she was like, what kind of food do you want? And I was like, I don't know. And I saw they had this egg soup, not egg drop soup, but it's like hard-boiled egg soup. It's like the entire egg they put in the soup, not egg drop, but they dropped the little driplets of it. And it was all gray, you know. It was like in Apocalypse Now. That stuff was turning gray, you know. But she told me when I ordered it, she said, you're not going to like it. I said, what are you talking about? She said, only Chinese people like this kind of soup. I said, I'll eat it. I said, I'm going to try it. Give it to me. And she's looking at me like, this man crazy, you know. And so this man crazy, you know. So she brought it. It was a huge bowl and it was so hot. You had to let it cool. And everybody in the restaurant was watching me eat. And then she was like, you like that soup? I said, yeah, it's good. Oh. And then other people in the restaurant were talking, oh, he likes the soup. So they couldn't believe that. But I'm thinking that's an interesting approach to a restaurant business. Telling the customer, don't order this. You're not going to like it. I never heard that before in a restaurant. I think the sherry cask gives it a little more character. I'm voting for this one being the better product. But honestly, I don't know about paying $15 extra. That's your call. Use your judgment. I think it's the Tennessee Crown Club. Oh, second loss. Oh man, 6-2-1. Oh, sorry, 6-2-2. Well, McAdams, you got me good. You got me good. I thought I was going to run away with it, 7-2-2. I mean, 7-1-2, 8-1-2, 9-1-2, 10-1-2, 11-1-2. Because that's where my winning. I had 6 wins, 1 loss, and 2 ties. One time I couldn't tell it apart. I got it confused with Crown Royal of all things. Now I got it confused with McAdams. So did McAdams score a stunning upset? Yes. Stunned me. I'm sitting there for 10 minutes talking about how it's not as good, but it was the better one. Oh, wow. Now, I've been watching this guy. He does beer review taste challenges. Der Beer Garden. He doesn't have many subscribers, so you should subscribe. And he does this huge tournament. Well, I think his tournament is a little convoluted. He's got like the losers bracket, the special losers bracket, the winners bracket, the exemplary one. It's too complicated. He needs to cool that, because you could do 1,000 and 10,000 beer reviews and you haven't gotten anywhere. That's a little bad. He needs to do it more simplified. Winners and losers. If you want to have a consolation prize, fine. But he does it like me. He does blind taste tests. And he told me his videos were from 3 years ago. And I'm like, why? I'm thinking to myself, why you got videos from 3 years ago? Why you didn't post them 3 years ago? But I didn't ask, but he does do it blind. He does a blind taste test. And it'll be comparable brands. He's not going to do like an Imperial Stout with a light beer. Some people do that. I don't know why. They'll say, I tested Bud Light against Guinness Foreign Extra Stout. They're nothing like each other. Well, we knew that. Why would I watch this video? But he'll do like, longboard lager and Rolling Rock, stuff like that. The only problem I think he makes is he doesn't try to guess which is which. He'll just say which one he prefers. I think this one's a little better. This one's a little better. And then he'll say, let's see what it is. Oh, it's longboard lager. Okay. They go to the winners bracket. And the Rolling Rock goes to the losers bracket. I think he does double elimination. What I mean is it has to lose twice to be knocked out totally. I still think it makes it too complicated. But he never tries to guess which is which. And it probably is impossible in most cases. When you're doing some of these, it's so close. And that's been my argument all along since I started the channel. Well, it was long before the channel, but I was saying, man, you can't tell those products apart. People would tell me, yes, I can. I love Coors Light. I hate Miller Lite. I'm like, you're crazy. I tell them in a blind taste test, forget it. You'll never tell them apart. But they insist that they can. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I said, well, you never did it. No answer. So I would like to see him do that in Der Beer Garden. I'd like to see him see if he could tell them apart, because that's hell to go through that. Now, this one, see, I'm adding an extra challenge. I'm not deciding which one is better only. I did, which turns out was McAdams, shockingly. But I'm trying to tell them apart. And what have I shown with these Canadian whiskeys? It's damn difficult. Excuse my language. In your mind, you think, oh, I could do it. They're very different. There's so many unique characteristics with Canadian whiskeys. I could tell them apart in a blind taste test. But then when you stage it, then you'd be shocked. Oh. So people that love Crown Royal and always buy Crown Royal, I work with a man. He's always buying Crown Royal. That's his favorite thing in the world. And Coors Light. I said, Glenn, you ever tried Crown Royal Black? What's that? He's telling me, what's that? Been drinking Crown Royal probably since 1979. I said, it's Crown Royal Black. It's the stronger version of Crown Royal. Oh, I don't think I would like that, based on the fact that he's never had it. Okay. So, but in his thinking, Crown Royal is the king. That's why it wears the crown. Well, it actually literally is the king of whiskey, of at least Canadian whiskey, and one of the top in the world of any type. But could he really tell it apart from cheaper brands? This is the question. From, say, McAdams, I think many people would not be able to tell it apart. Not be able to tell it apart, which would argue so much against it. It's like, why would you pay $25 for Crown Royal when you could pay $7.99 for a liter of this? My answer is simple. I wouldn't do it. The word on the street around New Orleans is Rich and Rare Reserve is the great substitute. Rich and Rare Reserve, I can still find that for $9.99 a bottle on sale. Somebody's going to have it on sale every week for $9.99 a bottle. In fact, around here, some people call it poor man's Crown Royal. I wouldn't call it poor man's Crown Royal. I would call it smart man's Crown Royal. Thinking man's Crown Royal, because it's not, I don't think it's better than Crown Royal. Some people say it is. I think that's arguable. That's debatable. It's basically really a tie. But you're saving $15 every bottle, or at least $14, at the worst case, $13. So you're going to save $13 every time you buy it. Worst case scenario. Better case, if you live close to Rouse's, for instance, you're probably going to save $15 a bottle. You're saving $15 a bottle, and if you buy a bottle a month, you're saving a lot of money. And a penny saved is a penny earned. Now, I'm not saying be a miser and be a fanatic. I'm saying be smart. Check it out. Try it. Now, is Canadian Limited and regular old Rich and Rare going to beat Crown? No. Are they a decent substitute? Not really. But if you're that interested in saving $1 or a good amount of money, then buy it. You can tolerate it. You don't have to choke. You don't have to choke it down because it's not bad. It's just not Crown. But if you're really serious about it, you get the Rich and Rare Reserve and you win every time. You win every time. And I believe that. I truly believe that. So sorry for losing, but I'm not sorry for losing in another sense, because it was a challenge. That's why I call it a taste challenge. You don't know the outcome. I'm pretty sure Michigan State figured they knew the outcome when they played Appalachian State, right? They figured. Easy. Probably not trying as hard during practice, not focused. The coach is probably on their case. Come on, you need to, wasn't that Rich Rodriguez, I think? But you need to, come on, you need to focus, man. This team could beat us. And I'm sure the players are like, come on, coach. We ain't talking about Michigan State. We're not over here talking about even Northwestern. We're talking about Appalachian State. That's impossible. We can't lose at home, especially. And then we know what happened. So some of these little underlings can shock the world, shock the life out of you. Well, hopefully not your life, but take away your breath for a minute. So anyway, what's coming up next? Well, that would shock me. That might take the life out of me if I get that one wrong. I got Crown Royal Special Reserve, not your regular old Crown Royal. Probably only makes up a very tiny part of their sale. Probably, if it was 1%, I'd be surprised. But some people buy it. Most people do not. Definitely do not buy it, because it does run about $40, $45 a bottle. And it is special. And it is a reserve. It is obviously much higher quality whiskeys blended in. So you're going to pay that. So do I think it's possible that it could lose to Tennessee Crown Club? I don't really think it's possible. But I guess anything's possible. But I would never believe that. I would never believe that. I wouldn't even entertain the idea. So I think if you want to skip that challenge, you say, well, Tennessee Crown Club versus Crown Royal Special Reserve. I'm skipping that because that's a joke. I get it. And it probably it is. Now, what about Crown Royal XO? What that came out in 2013, 2014, something like that, 2012. Crown Royal finished in cognac barrels. That runs around $35. Still about $35. That could lose. I don't believe it will, but it could because they're both finished in sherry cask. Oh, I'm sorry, sherry and cognac. Okay, that's really alike, huh? Well, I did taste two of these glasses. All right, but yeah, but you know, it has what I mean. It has a unique finish to it, the cognac cask, which does add a character to it. Do many people buy that one? No, no, not really. But I had to buy it. You know, I was like, I gotta buy it. You know, no, I mean, so it's definitely worth it. Certainly worth it. Um, and then we'll go on after that. It'll be just ordinary, 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 ordinary. I mean, it'll be the world of ordinary caliber. Grand Legacy, doggone, what's that other one? Yeah, just ordinary stuff, and that'll close it out. But thanks for watching and tolerating it, I guess. But it was fun to me, you know, trying to do all this. But I got to start getting on that Irish whiskey. I found it at Total Wine and More. I found the website for the producer, but they don't list it, so I think it's probably made just for Total Wine. It's a unique recipe for Total Wine and More. Looks like the reviews are good on it, so I'm looking forward to it. It's called O'Neill's. O'Neill's, 5-year aged Irish whiskey, and I got it for a good price. Oh man, but not as good as they got it right now. Now they dropped it to $14.99. I thought the tariffs were supposed to make things go up, not down. Are you lying to me, CBS News? Because all I heard for 2 years was tariffs gonna make the price go up. Well, I bought the thing for $17.99 or $15.99, and I looked at Total Wine yesterday, it's $14.99. So you tell me the price dropped? All right, thanks everybody. Bye-bye.